election this came and gone. Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States. He's also the 45th. He's only the second president to have done that. Grover Cleveland is the other individual that has done that. Everybody's trying to blame everybody else. What went wrong? What went right? I was just fatigued. I ain't gonna even front. I kind of was just happy it was all over with. It's like it is what it's gonna be. But overall, I will say this: there's blame to be put in all kind of different pots. I feel in general, if you're talking about the Democratic side, but a lot of it has to do. I have two people I want to blame individually, but one of them is a stretch, and one of them is immediate. My stretch is Hillary Clinton. My immediate is Joe Biden / Kamala at the same time. So, and not necessarily the individuals, but the way they targeted. But then another part of me goes, well, only some amount of people, you were fighting over a certain amount of people that weren't going to even try to vote for her anyway. So I go back and forth with that. A part of me feels like, going back to my original thing with Hillary Clinton, a part of me feels like they should have let Joe run right after Barack. And I know that was a thing with Hillary made a deal with Barack while they were in the primary, that if she dropped out earlier, so you could get geared up for the full presidential election, that he would support her in running in 8 years. That's the deal.
Well, Biden wasn't going to run because, remember his son that passed away. So they were, that was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that was kind of convenient. I kind of think that was kind of convenient because they already kind of had Hillary in the pipe.
Yeah, not convenient.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying convenient, but I'm saying like, if he really wanted to do it, he would have still done it. Like, if people have had their whole family wiped out and still ran for governor,
Yeah.
So I'm saying if he really wants, and it's not necessarily, and I get why the deal happened. I get it for all the political people. Like, well, I get it. I'm just saying that Joe Biden was hot at that time because of Barack. You could have ran off another 8 years with him, right afterwards. Then you could, and of course, Hillary would have been too old, maybe potentially, or she felt like she had lost her time. But you would have had 16 solid years of Democrats solidified doing stuff. You could have really made some moves. Is what I kind of think about. And then it could have set the stage for what we see now.
Yeah.
So also Joe Biden, I think he could have stepped down earlier before to give Kamala more room to be able to run get a whole runway. She had a lot of money.
That's how I feel.
She got a lot of money, but she had to bullshit a lot of money away because we only got a certain amount of time. So we just got to start paying for some bullshit. Like, we just got to just do bullshit. Like, if you're trying to it's like a dude that's trying to get to a girl faster, so they start spending money. It's not going to be as intrinsic potentially because he's just trying to get faster to get to his destination, whatever that may be.
I'll say this. I feel like,
but I also think Kamala, because of that, people didn't get a chance to relate to her, and
that's what I was going to say. And the key people that needed to relate to her, unfortunately, would be I'm gonna be honest. I was shocked that it was only 20% of Black men that did not vote for her. I thought that number was going to be higher. So I was content and cool with it being like 80% of Black men.
But we already talked about that in the last show that most Black men were going to vote for her. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then, but then there was a huge percentage of people that were registered to vote across all colors that just didn't vote. But I think that the thing was she really needed to penetrate the Latino market, because I don't know why. And that number, they had unprecedented numbers. They hadn't seen numbers like that since like 76.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like
counties that had voted Democrat that flipped.
Yeah. And so I think there's a lot to, unpack here when we talk about, because like at least with Hillary, like the number of white women that voted for her, it was like almost like a little over 50%. And then it jumped up. So this is the conversation that I consistently have when people ask, are you, like a feminist or anything? And I'm like, I wouldn't say I was a feminist for all. I believe in what's right, and a woman should be able to do whatever it is that she wants to do with her body. And I do believe that if I'm working twice as hard as a man, I should be getting paid, because that makes sense. Because that makes sense. But I'm not about to lock arms and sing Kumbaya because y'all go into the booths and y'all vote otherwise, and then want to get on the soapbox and complain and bitch and moan about shit. And I'm like, well, we're here because of ... And it's funny because people still don't understand the concept of the electoral college, right? Mm-hmm. Because one year, which was this last, instance with Hillary and Trump, you remember how the electoral college was one way, but the popular vote was another way. So people are like, how can that be? Because I voted. You vote, but then there's somebody else that goes, there's a certain amount of seats. So people need to really, then those people go in and then they vote. And then that's how they get, if your state has maybe like 57 people that, for California, it's not 50 something.
Yeah.
But
it might be 50 something actually.
Oh, I was just throwing a number out there.
It might be like 50 to 60, I believe.
So those people go in. So that's how you get those. It's a certain amount of votes that a state has. And so ultimately, people need to learn how the system works. And then y'all just going in and doing stuff as if the House isn't up for grabs. Like you voting for your senators, your judges. And so now you have voted
54.
somebody.
California's got 54.
We got 54?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was close. Oh, I'm 2 numbers off. I'm proud of me.
Yep.
But ultimately, so it changes the course of things for everybody. And so ultimately, it's a trickle-down effect. And so what's weird about this is them swing states that normally be turning blue, were red. You almost feel like there was some sort of voter interference, but I'm so burnt out.
No. It's weird. It's like honestly, and I know some people may not like this. I don't think over time, I can realize how she wasn't a likable candidate.
I can see that. I can see how you could say that.
Now, what's the funny thing is, if low key, if Biden would have left out later, it's like a weird thing. He left out later and let her, because she had that energy and she was moving off. If it had been like 40 days, she might have been able to have more room. It's weird because it was like she needed longer to go through the process, but also longer made more availability for her to be damaged as well.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this on the show, we said where she needed to be right away, and it was in a swing state. It was certain places where she
did though. I give her that. She did go
to a certain extent, yes, but I still felt like what's happening honestly in the Democratic Party as a whole is them always banking on certain people to vote a certain way, and it's in the bag. We saw that just happen in St. Louis with Cori Bush and that Wesley guy, and how things can switch up on you like so quick. But also, I think that I'm all about separation of church and state. But the one thing that the Republicans, though, we know that they lie a lot, and we might not necessarily believe in their ethics or the way of politicking, is that they manipulate and bamboozle people solely based on their religious views. Like they are in that bag. And so, whereas the Democrats are not. And so you get a Latino population that is very heavy into the church, Catholicism and things like that. So they don't believe in abortion. We know.
We know.
But ultimately they play a game, and they still always end up being screwed. But they're too They're too delusional to really see the impact. I went through and I went to Donald Trump's page to see how many people on my friends list were following him. And it was a lot of people. And so I was like, and I just went through and unfollow, because some people I was like, we was co-workers at Saks, however
Right.
many
It wasn't
years.
even that bit. It wasn't even that. We weren't even.
Yeah, I'm like, you sold me some bras and panties. I'm not, but I an ex-boyfriend of mine populated from high school. And I was like, hey, I see that you follow Donald Trump. And he's like, yeah, I'm a Black Republican. Now you tour and you make a decent amount of money, but it's still not like I'm counting your pockets. It's not where you would be affected or by those tax breaks of the millionaires. So because you make six figures, like you're not gonna feel that. And so I challenged him, and when he said that, I said, "Don't you have a daughter?" And so he left me on red. I said, "It's cool. I'm gonna circle back in about a year and a half and see how you feeling." And then you didn't even want to have a conversation. You said, honestly, I'm so politicked and electioned out. Okay, that's cool. You can be that today. I said I was gonna circle back in a year and a half, motherfucker. I'm circling back. And I'm gonna say, well, hello, motherfucker. This is what I was talking about. Because people don't realize even like we're still feeling the effects of that presidency now. And y'all want to talk about the first thing that God did the next day after he was declared the president.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm about this mass deportation. So what about y'all grandmama? Because everybody ain't legal.
No.
So what does that look like? What are you going to do? Because I directly know, I can tell you 20 people right now that if that were a thing and they really came through like that, who that would impact. 20 people. So I'm going to say this, and it's the optimistic me looks at it from this standpoint. I look at stuff like things are a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Kamala, there's something bigger and greater for her. And I'm tired.
And honestly, and this don't sound messed up, and I hope you go in here. I hope you are. I think if she would have won this, I think she would have got primaried for the next term anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because they felt like, and I feel there's some people that felt like, do we even get to primary you? You just got this spot. I'm Shapiro. I'm one of these other cats, a Newsom. Oh, I'm gonna primary your ass. I don't care.
That's what I was gonna say. I think if she would have pulled,
if she would have primary, I think this would have. I'm not saying necessarily she'd have won, but she wouldn't have got her ass kicked like this.
I think so, but also there people can talk about the misogyny of it all.
100%.
But also, this country still has a huge race problem, and these numbers showed that. Yeah. So I think there's a call that the country needs to answer regarding race.
But if you're gonna be the first one, you got to not have a stain on you, and we know that. Looking about anyone that was the first to do something, Jackie Robinson, Barack Obama.
But she really doesn't. We've been able to.
No, I know, but I'm just telling. But I'm saying Benjamin O. Davis, first black man to graduate West Point. Yes, but they didn't have no stain on them. Like they walked the fine line. You can't be having nothing. You gotta at least till you get into the seat, and it's unfair. It's super unfair to her. Super unfair when you got the other side of it, and this dude got all kind of stain. It's so stained up, you don't know what he looked like no more. But I'm saying, I think that was a tragedy. Joe Biden not stepping out earth, but she could be primary. And not saying that
he need to step down now. He need to step down now and let her have it. And
but you needed to let her get primary. It was like a thing of like,
but I said that
I need to
everybody was like, not
she need to get jumped in. She need to get jumped into the game.
Everybody, nobody was like rocking with me when I said, "Hey, I think it's you doing a huge disservice."
Not primarying her.
Yeah,
even
I
if
was
it was like a nationwide fast thing, we gonna have to gear up something 20 days or even. I don't know how you would be able to do it. That was the only problem, is that it was stuck behind that. But you should have figured out some way to primary it. I don't know how to, and it probably could have got a certain amount of workers to come out to work for a quick primary in all these states. Like, you don't have to spend no money for no campaign stuff. I mean, and I don't know. Somebody that's a poll worker, hit us up, let us know.
That would be a Stacey question.
Yeah, like was that even possible to do? Like, we need a primary.
I think how they pulled together definitely for sure is a case study, because I mean she ran up a hell of a campaign. Yes. I think part of it is that I think we still have the part that is misogynistic, and then just the racism part. Like it is, and people are going to be like, oh well, Barack was black. Yeah, he wasn't a black woman, so it still hit different. And so y'all can play that, but it's something about, I'm telling you, black. I was in a training today, and I looked up, and it was a girl like that I never met before, just staring at me, and I'm like, hello. Like, do you want to get to know me or whatever? And I catch that like in where I'm in very white spaces quite often. And it's like, who are you? Do you like as if I ain't a chick that ever, I don't have imposter syndrome. I'm always like, what's that? Because I belong in this space just as much as you do. Probably if not more. I'm probably more educated than you. So it's to me, that's how I feel. But ultimately, that's just the name of the game that we have to play when it comes to not to being black women. It is, and I know that there's that conversation about, oh, black men have it harder than black. We both have it equally as hard.
Different. I just different. She didn't have nothing she could lean on. Barack had believe in change. Just. He was way more. I think that like he
was more charismatic. He had that charisma that got everybody locked in.
Yeah. Now the better case study would be if Michelle Obama would have run. Then you could really. I think that's way more of a situation where you could really say, okay, if she didn't win, then this. I'm saying that's a better case study to match the match overall.
Yeah,
we know the innuendos being black, but I'm talking about where you can really have definitive proof of saying like two charismatic black people, one's a black man, one's a black woman. Nobody mess with her, but they mess with him. Why?
Yeah. I think it's a blessing in disguise. I think it's just like one of those things. I said this. I said, black women, we're not the cleanup woman. That is not our job to always rectify and fix, everybody's shit. And I'm tired of that narrative. I'm like, we are so much more than that.
And so I wanted these Republican folks to talk about they want all this stuff. I didn't want them to have nothing to complain about for 4 years of them being like, oh, is something wrong with the trans kids going in the bathrooms or DEI? Get everything you want. I don't want to hear no complaints for 4 years.
I don't want to hear no complaints from nobody that voted for him.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear nothing.
And you got everything you wanted, but you got it. You got it. But we as people, we're gonna have to fight still. We're gonna do what we always do.
But that's been the name of the game for black people. And I like.
But also with the DEI thing, I think we need to be teaching our kids Black history more amongst ourselves. That's a whole nother different thing. Teaching them about our history.
And I think ultimately, we see how that stuff stresses people out, how it ages people, and think about how dangerous of a job that is, just in general to have. And then you're the first black woman, so it's like everywhere you go, you a walking target where somebody got a hit out on you because they mad just because you got a job. Like, we deal with that on a regular day-to-day basis, and we work at the bank. You know what I mean? So think about it at the executive, like you are the highest branch. Anything that she wanted, it was going to be a tussle for her, that she wanted initiatives and all of that. It was always going to be, like, oh, when it went to the floor, they was always going to be told, nah, we ain't fucking with it.
Hey, you're right. You're right.
So for me, I feel like God is doing something. And my aunt was like, oh no, it's just the prophecy being fulfilled. Because, Trump is the Antichrist. I was like, that ain't what this is.
Yeah,
like y'all gotta stop saying that. Like
they try to flip it and say Barack was on the other side. I
and I was like, this that ain't what this is. This is just idiots. And I'm a person that I love the Lord. He heard my cry, and this ain't that. Y'all get it together. So stop. This is just pure factual based idiocracy,
like the movie
that we're seeing. And like I said, it never impacts the upper class, the elites. It directly impacts the working class, and if you poor. And so I just want to remind everybody that a lot of us are one paycheck away from being homeless. Think about that over the next 4 years. Think about that. Think about the programs that people were trying to put into place that won't ever make it to the floor. Because now the Republicans control the House. People are thinking, y'all thinking short-term thinking, to talking about a Trump check. No, that was not from Donald Trump, you idiot.
Hey y'all, if you like what you see here on Everyone Needs an Aquarius, be sure to hit that button right there. It'll take you to more clips, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. See you back next time.